because I feel like a lot of people are trapped, and at some point I was trapped. Feel that understanding that we have to be open on time to our clients. And it's the number one thing that people fail is not having.
So how did you, I just want to understand, how did you scale your business from being that small business in your basement, minimum, to now scaling it to the point where you have this set production and you have all the standards and procedures in place?
Yeah.
How did you, because some people are stuck in just that, doing it by themselves.
Yes.
So how did you scale and build this structure?
I'm really glad with that question because I feel that that is something that I really want a lot of us to understand and to get out of that trap. Because I feel like a lot of people are trapped. And at some point I was trapped too. Okay. Yeah. At some point I felt I was trapped too. And the truth is that we have insecurities and fears, especially the fears of failing, right? A lot of people are afraid to fail. And then a lot of people are comfortable with a small profit that they're making. They're not willing to share. And so they are comfortable, and then they end up just remaining in a very stagnant place. And they are comfortable because they're making an extra $5,000 a month from what they're doing. And then you see most of the time they stay working their other job. Then they're doing that extra, and then they're good. But for me, this is the thing. First thing that I said to myself is, if I stay in this placement forever, would I ever be happy, understanding that this could have been bigger than what it is, and I never really experienced it? That was the first thing. And I said, okay, I will never be happy with myself if I remain in that basement. But because I did not get into fashion just because I saw other people doing it. It was like something that was burning in me, and I really felt happy every time that I designed something for somebody, and then the happiness that came from it, and when I saw the final look, right? But outside of that, it has to run like a business, and it has to run successful. So I struggled with getting out before, with the fear of failure. What if I go out and I get the store, the cost of the store, everything, electricity and all that, the overhead costs, would I be able to afford it? What I don't want people to laugh at me for closing it, failing and closing it, and and coming back home with it and things like that. But I'll tell you this, motivational talks actually help. If I tell you that it didn't help me, I'm lying. I started listening a little bit more to other entrepreneurs that have done it. And I realized that everybody had this fear at some point. Everybody had this challenge at some point. So I started realizing that it's okay to fail. And so even if I fail, then the only way I can get better is figuring out why I failed and how I can improve myself. So I took the leap. I remember the first year that I struggled looking for a store. I went to like downtown Silver Spring because that's where I wanted to be. It was urban, it was chic, it was where my brand looked like it would be, but I couldn't afford the rent. I went to Bethesda, they were charging like 8,000 on same space that I have here. And I decided to be like, nah, man, I can't do it, but I have to figure out something else. And then I looked around and I came to this place, and then I saw the space here that fell within, at least because I self-fund. I was working nursing full time. I had about 3 jobs. I'm not even gonna front.
3?
I was working as night shift nurse in Holy Cross Hospital. But my other jobs were controlled. It was not like, I could control my time. So I was doing special,
on call.
it was like an infusion. I used to administer in, intravenous IVIG, they call it, immunoglobulin therapy to clients that need it, and I could go to their homes. I could schedule within times that my schedule. And so I was working with 2 other companies that were providing those services, and I was really good with IVs. I could insert IVs in a baby, anybody. So I had clients that just glued to me. Because they had people come and poke them so many times they couldn't get, but I'll come and take care of them. So they were flexible with me, and I was able to accommodate that. But there are days that I get up from the hospital on my night shift and I come straight to the store. Probably get a 2 hour sleep, or I can sleep in the show in the fitting room, and then when my clients come, I jump out and continue.
Wow.
But there are sacrifices that you have to make, right? There are sacrifices that you have to make. But the one thing that you don't want to do is to be afraid to fail. You have to understand that failure is acceptable, but you can fail forward, which means you fail, you get up, you dust yourself, figure out what happened, and then you find a way to readjust, and then you keep it moving.
Yeah.
And that's how we moved from at that time. We opened the store. Right after we opened in 2019, we got into COVID. COVID hit.
Right.
And then there was that struggle with COVID. So I was paying the store from so this is the thing, having a little bit of support, so it's just timing, support, I had a spouse that really helped,
What's her name?
Lisette. My wife's Lisette.
Shout out to Lisette.
Yes, she's amazing. I remember her being pregnant and attending to clients when they came, because at the time when I was still home, my showroom was in my basement.
I did borrow money for you. We work day and night for money.
Yeah, we hustle, bro. We hustle. We hustle.
You were born to live and enjoy your life.
Damn right.
The only time you should be stressed out when you're hustling, when you're grinding for that money.
Yes.
Once you get that money, come to Stallion. Spend that money with a smile on your face. They're the best. I can be the best.
It was in my basement. Clients would come some because I was posting my home address, like my store address.
Oh.
And people sometimes thought it was a store. They would just drive to my house and then figure out it was a home. And then they would knock, she'll attend to them.
Yeah.
I'll be on the phone with her, guide her on doing certain things. Even when in her pregnancy, she used to do that. So, things like that are the struggles and the things behind that people don't see. But before we got to this place, that was it. And then when I got to the store, I had my challenges. I had to work night shift, come and make the sacrifices to be here. At the time, I could only afford one employee, and we were managing that. When it's off, I have to be on. I had to leave here sometimes and then just leave through the back, go to the store. My business partner is on the other side. He was on tailoring at the time. Okay. And when I leave, he's going to leave the machine, come up front. He's juggling between the two. When somebody comes in, he comes up front and see them, and then go back and sit on the machine and do alterations and stuff like that. So it's just about being able to sacrifice, and somehow you have to be, I think sometimes it's a blessing to have God guide you and give you people that can be really dependable. Because if you don't have that, most of the time it'll be a struggle. So I was lucky to have people like him. But then when you create an environment that is conducive, and like an environment that even the people that work with you can feel comfortable in. And I feel like what I always say from the start with my team is like, it's a family, right? So everybody's comfortable. We have a very open policy. If I'm doing something that's wrong, I'm very okay with criticism. Tell me, and I'll look at it. And if I'm making a mistake, I'll make adjustments. And so creating that kind of environment creates a conducive environment where you can have people that will stay consistent with you and work. And if you do that, then you build a team, and gradually you have dependable people that understand the brand, that understand the mission, and then we'll build from there. And that's just really how we've been able to succeed. And then the most important, provide good quality products and good customer service. If you don't have that, it's number one thing that people fail is not having good quality products. Or maybe even if you don't have good quality, but customer service is number one. Yes. If you have good customer service, I promise you, people will even stick to you for that. They want to be treated well. One of the things as an African coming from Cameroon, one of the problems that a lot of us had was times of showroom. You would say your showroom opens at 10 o'clock. Somebody's there at 10:15. It's not open. It's one of those things that I really cannot tolerate. And so we build that understanding that we have to be open on time for our clients. And so when you set those standards and then we push it, that's being able to become a culture and it's sustainable. And same thing that we would do with our products. I'm the number one critic of my own stuff. And if it's not good for me, I'm not putting it out.
Right.
Yeah, so building that culture is helping, and I think it's moving forward, and that's how we're just going to continue to use it too.